Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring incredible light novels to life through immersive audiobooks you can enjoy for free. Today, we're diving into Weapon Seller in the World of Magic, a thrilling fantasy novel written by Snowstar and originally published on lightnovelworld.co. Meet Mark Spencer, a genius military weapon designer who was kidnapped and forced to create advanced weapons for the mafia, until he finally escaped, only to be betrayed and shot by his own comrades. But instead of dying, he wakes up in another world as Lu Zhen, armed with a powerful weapon system that lets him bring modern firepower into a realm ruled by magic. Bows and arrows? Outdated. Flying carpets? Obsolete. Fighting dragons? Why struggle when you can drop a nuclear bomb? Watch as Lu Zhen changes the balance of power in this world, introducing firearms, fighter jets, and war machines no one has ever seen before. If you enjoy this audiobook, please support the original work by reading Weapon Seller in the World of Magic on lightnovelworld.co. And if you like what we do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing amazing stories to life. Now, sit back and enjoy the action. Chapter 26, Mark Goes to Song Mansion. Unknown to Mark, Lin Shui was very good at reading facial expressions. She instantly realized that it was a fake smile, contrary to the one that he had on his face when he was collecting the gold coins. HMPF, this guy is just the same as other store owners. Greedy about money. Her impression of Mark fallen from neutral to displeasure. At the same time, she was also a little bit taken aback by his attitude that doesn't have any fear for her identity. She once again glanced at Alan, who had a look of indifference as he stood on the side for all this while without moving an inch like a statue. Something's wrong with this fellow. They look nothing alike and don't seem like relatives. Then, why did such a person working for this guy? Meanwhile, Song Yu asked when he will start selling the revolver, to which Mark replied by raising 3 fingers. The first batch of 10 revolvers will arrive in 3 days. Song Yu once again took out her storage pouch. Then, can I purchase all of them in advance? You can deliver them along with the bullets. That's 200 gold coins, right? All of them? Lady Song. The handmaidens could no longer be silent as they were seeing their young miss was once again spending the money like crazy. Well, 1 for myself and 1 for this girl. I can give the remaining as gifts to my friends at the upcoming tea party. Song Yu shrugged her shoulders, implying that such an amount of gold isn't a big deal for her. Lin Shui, on the other hand, now started to study Song Yu. Was she boasting in front of this guy? She started getting suspicious of whether this girl had fallen for this greedy store owner. Putting the gold coins once again on the counter, she further said, "Owner Lu, basically, I'm promoting your store in our circle. So, when it gets popular, you should remember this favor and give priority to me whenever a new weapon comes, alright?" Mark was completely dumbfounded, nodding his head up and down. He felt like he should have told her that 20 revolvers will be there. Just like that, 400 gold coins of the transaction took place in 1 moment, although the system only considered 40 gold coins as a legitimate earning for the revolver and 100 bullets. The remaining were treated as Mark's own money like the one he earned by selling his properties. It reminded him that the cost will be cut when he delivers the goods as promised. 3 days later, after having another restless sleep because of overexcitement, Mark woke up late in the afternoon and later came downstairs to see Alan was standing on the side as always. The store was cleaned perfectly as always. "Good morning, big brother." Alan greeted him upon spotting him. "Morning, Alan." Mark took his seat. After informing not to open the store yet, Mark started to become busy in creation. He looked at the inventory. Okay, 762 left. 128 to go. Ding! 9mm bullet has been created. Check your inventory. Ding! 9mm bullet has been created. Check your inventory. Ding! 9mm bullet has been created. Check your inventory. Ignoring the continuous notifications, Mark relentlessly created bullets one after the other for the next hour. Keeping an extra 300 of them in his inventory, the remaining were transferred into 5 different wooden boxes. The 10 revolvers loaded with 6 bullets each were neatly packed in 10 more boxes, diminishing almost all the storage boxes in the store. Thankfully, there was a furniture store within the same street where he could order them bulk in advance. Unlike the previous owner, Mark intended to use a special design engraved upon each of it to display its uniqueness. Since he was going to visit a noble's mansion, Mark picked the best of his clothes made out of linen fabric for himself and Alan, which are of course barely decent in the eyes of these people of higher social status. For one thing, Mark was actually thankful that this world didn't have any brands and the judgment of clothes only based on what type of fabric was used to make the clothing or how it looks rich or not. The nobles and wealthy people wear clothes made from expensive silk, middle-class commoners wear clothes made of linen or wool. As for poor commoners, they could only afford cotton clothes. Both of them set out to the district of Chidong, a residential neighborhood where many wealthy people of the city reside. Because of that, soldiers were also a bit active in the area. Some of them are even stationed at a few entrances so that outsiders cannot come and go as they wish. Naturally, after staying in the city for the past couple of weeks, Mark knew that much. So, he rented a decent carriage paying 30 silver coins for the whole day. Naturally, the services of coachmen were also included in it. Mark and Alan encountered them. However, because of the carriage, they were let through. The horses continued to pull the carriage for half an hour before they finally stopped before a large gate where at least 5 guards are on standby. As per the instruction given by Mark, the coachman gets down from the carriage and informed the guards, to which the captain of the guard asked them to step down from the carriage, thinking they were only nothing but commoners that are probably the employees of one of the big 3 weapon stores. Mark expected that much. So, he didn't take it as offense and get down from the carriage, putting a smile on his face. The soldiers were a little bit taken aback by his appearance. This fellow is an employee of a weapon store. He's a soldier who fought various battles. So, naturally, his skin was tanned and his face was rough and filled with a couple of scars. So, naturally, he envies those with good appearances. However, when he saw Mark, who looks like he didn't face any hardships, the soldier really wondered for a second whether he's a rich young master of a wealthy father. However, as his eyes fell on Mark's ordinary clothes, the captain threw such thoughts away. An invisible blow hits his chest as Alan gets down from the carriage and stands behind Mark. His feelings of envy turned into hostility and asked them in a harsh tone, "State your identities." Mark replied calmly, "I'm Lu Zhen, owner of Genesis Weapon Store. Please go and inform Lady Yu that I came here to deliver the remaining weapons." Genesis. The guards whispered to each other whether they heard of it. Never heard of it before. The captain frowned in response. Anyway, since you aren't from those 3 weapon stores, we have to inspect the weapons to make sure you are saying the truth. No. Only the customer has the right to inspect the weapons of our store. Mark shook his head in response while maintaining his fake smile. "If you just go and inform Lady Song." The captain interrupted by pointing a sword at Mark. "Now, unless you prove your statement and let me make sure they are safe, I will not let you meet the princess. Now, do as I say or get lost." Alan suddenly stepped forward and caught the sword with his bare hands. Mark's expression suddenly turned to cold. "And I don't like that blade." Crack. Chapter 27. Beating up the guard captain. Despite being born in 2 different worlds, a common trait of Mark and Lu Zhen is that they dislike people who try to undermine them by showing their authority. Now that Mark also received Lu Zhen's memories after possessing his body, his hate toward such people is only next to the royal family that abandoned him because he was born without ether energy. Because it's his favorite customer and the delivery is quite big, Mark tried to do a favor to Songyu. However, getting looked down on by a mere gatekeeper hurt his self-esteem. For the sake of 360 gold coins, he tried his best to calm down, but as soon as the gatekeeper pointed the sword at him, Mark has lost it. He stopped faking his smile and turned into his original aloof self. Looking at him coldly, Mark gave an order, "And I don't like that blade." Alan, who grabbed the sword, used his strength to press it further. Crack! As a sound of a crack was heard, the guard captain hurriedly tried to take back the sword. However, only half of it was returned and the other half was in Alan's hand. The soldiers were taken aback by surprise. The coachman instantly backed away and stood behind Mark in fear. "You! What have you done? That's a silver-grade sword. Do you know how much it costs?" The guard captain's face turned red in anger. Looking at the android, he growled as he powered up his body with ether energy, "I will not leave you alive." "Alan, I don't like him." Mark passed out another order in a cold tone and took a step back. Then, thinking of Alan's identity, he added another instruction as an afterthought. "Just make sure he doesn't die." As soon as the order is passed, Alan didn't waste any time to dash forward and punch his face. His nose was punctured instantly as he flew back a couple of meters. A couple of soldiers caught him at the perfect time and the remaining ones withdrew their weapons. "Ah!" Screaming in pain, the guard captain gave the order. However, before they took 2 steps forward, Alan leaped towards the captain, and this time, a powerful kick was planted in his stomach. The guard captain spits a mouthful of blood as he crashed onto the gate. The force behind Alan's kick is so strong that not only the gate was burst open but the guard captain was also knocked out. Along with him, 2 soldiers were also slightly injured. This led the remaining 3 soldiers to go into alert and hurriedly ran away to inform the higher-ups. Watching the scene, Mark felt his heart was rapidly beating in excitement. Wow, so this is the power of an android. Until now, all he knows that Alan was strong on the paper is also fast enough that he can be considered a Superman in his past world. But, watching him overpowering the guard captain so easily, he was really amazed and was, even more, looking forward to gaining such power in the future. Just then, something else clicked in his mind. Wait a second. Could it be that this guy is too weak? Mark instantly threw the thought away. No, that can't be possible. He's the leader here, guarding the entrance of this mansion, where the head of a powerful noble clan of Song lives. But, since this arrogant piece of SHT got knocked out so easily, he must be in the realm of Circle 3. Maybe, that's why Alan defeated him so easily. Ding! The guard is at the beginner stage of the Circle 4 realm. The system gave quick information as it wanted to remind him that the android that came from the starter pack wasn't that simple as Mark thought it would be. Mark was also a little bit surprised by the system's reminder, although not because of Alan's strength but for other reasons. System, you never told me that you can inspect others' data. How come I can't see it through the inspection skill? Ding! Host must upgrade his skill level to receive such benefit. Teeth, what a miser! Mark put aside his feelings and then asked about Alan's full strength so that he could consider an option of summoning the battle tank to protect himself in case this incident offends some higher up in the mansion. Ding! Alan Spencer is a perfect battle android built with absolute control. Based on his current strength, his skill attacks will heavily injure even a 5-circle realm spirit warrior of the fighter path. Although it was just a couple of sentences written on a holographic screen, somehow, Mark felt like the system was boasting of its creation. Okay, got it. Now that he verified Alan's strength with the system, Mark decided to not push this incident furthermore and looked at the 2 soldiers that are supporting their captain while looking at Alan in hostility. You too. Go to the Song clan's princess and tell her to collect her goods at our store. Mark no longer stayed there for 2 reasons. One is that he decided that he will no longer do door delivery. Second is that he was worried that a stronger one will come and get defeated, which will bring an even stronger one until he finally makes an enemy out of the Song clan for something like this. After all, he knew that in a society where nobles and kings have absolute authority, they have too much pride. He can't escalate the situation unless Alan was strong enough to protect him. So, in this situation, even if someone knocks on his door because of the incident of harming a gatekeeper, he could let Alan spar them a little bit and hope that they would understand that it isn't in their best interest to try crushing him or his store over nothing. If such a thing happens, Mark could only swallow the humiliation and pay them back 1,000-fold later. With such a thought in mind, Mark returned to the carriage. Soon, they set off from the place. Unknown to them, a couple of spies are watching them from the nearby bushes. They looked at each other. One of them whispered, "Brother Su, I think we should follow this guy. Someone who can cause such a mess because of the slightest agreement can't be a simple person even if he looks like a commoner. Moreover, that stoic-faced warrior looks like an elite." The other spy nodded in agreement. "You are right. Even I couldn't see his attack. Let's do one thing. You follow that horse carriage. I'll go and inform young Master Nai." "What? Who is he? How dare he destroy the entrance and injure our gatekeeper?" The leader of the Song Mansion security unit, Yi Fang, went into a rage upon hearing that one of his subordinates got injured by someone. The soldier told him everything that he saw from the start. Crushing the glass in his hand, Yi Fang stood up on his feet, just a mere owner of a small unknown weapon store. If he wasn't taught a lesson, people would think the Song clan is easy to be trifled with. Inform our scouts to find out this store's location. Chapter 28, Security Chief of Song Mansion. "Excuse me, where can I meet Jing Fu?" Mark asked a stout man who was instructing a couple of staff members to relocate a few things within the store. "Yes, that is me." Just like others, he was a bit surprised by the appearances of Mark and Alan. Judging their attire, he assumed that they might be at least from upper-middle-class society. So, he was polite while asking him about the reason for his visit. As Mark stated that he was the owner of a newly opened weapon store named Genesis, which was previously known as Yang Weapon Store, Zheng Fu's expression changed to that of stoic. While he still treated Mark as a customer, he was nowhere near polite enough like before. Mark didn't care much about his behavior and stated his intentions. "I would need a 200 boxes with dimensions 10 cm, 30 cm, 5 cm. Then, another 100 boxes with dimensions 30 cm, 30 cm, 30 cm, 50 more boxes with dimensions 50 cm, 50 cm, 50 cm, and 20 more boxes with dimensions 100 cm, 100 cm, 50 cm. All of them should be of higher quality than what you usually provided to our store in the past. And the top of the box should have 2 layers, with the outermost layer should have an engraving of a design that I will provide you. These are my requirements and I won't accept any defective product. Owner Zheng, calculate everything quickly and tell me when I will get the delivery. Also, tell me how much is the total payment and the minimum advance payment." As soon as Mark started to order in bulk with specific requirements, Zheng Fu went into a daze. He didn't expect that this new owner seems to be richer than he expected. He didn't wait any longer and proceeded with the calculations. Unfortunately, he wasn't an educated man and the usage of mechanical calculators was only a thing of luxury as they were very rare and expensive here. With the cashier on leave, the owner could only depend on calculating it with an abacus. And it doesn't seem like he's also good at it. Zheng Fu was too slow so that there's no room for error. After waiting for 5 minutes, Mark got annoyed with his slow pace and just asked him the price for each of them. "So, it's 26 gold coins and 52 silver coins in total." As Mark calculated instantly, Zheng Fu didn't buy it. He said thanks but continued with the calculation, making Mark and Alan wait for another half an hour before he looked at him in surprise and apologized for it. At first, Mark got angered by him, but then, thinking that it is a fellow business in the same neighborhood where most of them only earn 2 to 3 gold coins at most, Mark waved his hands. "Just deliver it as soon as possible. You can then expect another bulk order within a few weeks. Thank you for the purchase." Zheng Fu bowed with a smile. "Please visit again." Finishing his business there, Mark left for his store. Just as he stepped down from the carriage, he saw 2 people waiting at the entrance of the store. Passers-by are also watching them curiously. One of them was wearing high-quality armor from head to toe while the other has a mask on his face, but his cotton clothes with mud here and there tell that he doesn't seem well off. There are also visible scars on his hands. However, for some reason, the well-built rich warrior appeared to be wary of the other fellow. Mark walked towards the store. Alan followed behind him. Looking at them, the muscular man narrowed his eyes. They match the description of the ones I'm looking for. He then asked out loud, attracting the attention of passers-by. Are you the owner of this store? Mark nodded in response as he continued to walk. Wait a second. I'll open it right away. So, you are the one that thrashed my subordinate, Hare. As soon as his suspicions were confirmed, the muscular rich warrior stated his intentions. You don't need to open the store because you are coming with me. Meanwhile, a frown appeared on Mark as he turned around. You are from Song Mansion. I'm the security chief of the place where not only you destroyed the gate but also dared to beat up a person right at the outside of the mansion. You think you can escape after what you did? Yi Fang growled in anger while remembering his subordinate's face. A burst of ether energy released from him, causing a huge commotion in the surroundings. As for the masked fellow, he just stepped aside calmly. He was the least intimidated by the aura. Even though Mark expected retaliation from the Song clan, he still didn't expect such a strong warrior will be deployed to take care of him. His heartbeat involuntarily quickened its pace. Just then, Alan appeared before Mark in defense. Only then did Mark calm down and talk to the system. System, tell me something. What are the chances of Alan winning against this guy? Ding! Please upgrade the system to the next level and receive assistance in combat. Damn you! Closing the notification screen, Mark cursed it for not being flexible at times like these. After all, he knew that it can actually inform him but could only follow the rules and not help out. Remembering the incident earlier a while ago, Mark thought of the loophole and spoke to himself in his mind, I guess Alan will be shred to pieces by my enemy. Can this weak android even have a chance at that strong spirit warrior? Ding! The notification bell sound followed by the holographic screen brought a satisfactory smile to his face. Ding! The android is indestructible during the daytime as long as the sun exists. However, the recovery rate varies according to the time of the day and the injuries. He glanced at the enemy and then at Alan, and finally at sun that was almost on top of his head. An idea emerged in his mind. Taking a deep breath, Mark ordered the android, Alan, focus only on defending and usage of your skills is restricted for now. Alan saluted, Roger, big brother. He then looked at Yi Fang with his blank aquamarine eyes for a couple of seconds. Target has been scanned successfully, activating defense mode. Assuming that the other party must be at least in the Circle 5 realm, Mark only ordered his assistant to defend. If his assumption is wrong and the other party turn to be weaker and gets heavily injured like that gatekeeper, the situation would be escalated further. Mark clearly doesn't want that. With the sun acting as Alan's healer, now, the only thing that he was worried about is the possibility of the enemy possessing greater strength than he expected. So, he thought of helping him out a little bit with what he can. In case Alan cannot stop him, Mark was ready with summoning his battle tank to escape at any time. Taking everything in his calculations, he moved back a couple of steps and crossed his arms to the back while glaring at the enemy. Activate the skill, Luck Steal. Ding! Target locked. Target has 5 luck points. Proceed to absorb? Mark mumbled, yes. Ding! Choose the number of luck points. 2. Soon, his copper ring started to glow. Chapter 29.1 Mysterious Archer from Outside, Part 1. In one of the narrow alleys of the Imperial City, an intense battle is going on between Alan and Yi Fang, of which one of them is just perfectly blocking every attack while the other is getting aggressive as the fight drags on. The people in the surroundings moved away from them, the store owners closed the shutters and are watching the battle curiously. While some of them being afraid of the consequences of their fellow businessmen offending the Song family, a few people are secretly rooting for Alan to show the noble his place. After all, even if they are poor, they still have their pride and have frustrations about the behavior of nobles. So, they hoped Alan would teach the muscular guy a lesson. In the meantime, Mark was watching in silence, the former being amazed by Alan's battle techniques that are nullifying Yi Fang's punches and kicks without affecting the surroundings. The poor-looking fellow is also greatly surprised of watching the battle. I didn't expect I would encounter a person who could block the ether energy attacks of a Circle 5 realm warrior with such ease. He must be at least in the 6 circle realm. But, such an expert staying in this kind of neighborhood. He glanced around and then thought, was he perhaps in a similar situation like ours? He continued to watch the battle in silence. Meanwhile, Yi Fang blasted a ball of energy towards Alan from his palms. The latter put forth his hands to block the attack. Just like before, as soon as it hit his palms, the energy attack bounced back a little and hit the ground. From the system, Mark did learn the android had such passive ability but only works when the attack hit at the center of his palm. It led him to wonder whether it might be his new luck that's working. Ding! No, your luck points don't affect the android. It's the result of the enemy's bad luck. Realization dawned upon him. Ah, I see. Then, I don't need to worry after the expiry of the additional luck points. Meanwhile, a look of frustration appeared on Yi Fang as he failed to dominate the battle for the past 3 minutes. He felt like the other party is just toying with him by not using ether energy and only focusing on defense. Damn, what is this guy? As the fight prolonged further, Yi Fang's anger only increased further. Not having any choice, he finally takes out a gold-grade heavy sword from his storage card. Pouring ether energy into it, he leaped at Alan and slashed at him. Alan raised his hands to catch the blade. Just right then, all of a sudden, 3 energy arrows struck his chest at the same time, taking everyone by surprise. Thud. Yi Fang suddenly collapsed onto the ground with a groan while the sword fell off his hands. However, as he fell on the ground with his eyes opened, soon, everyone realized he was dead. Alan halted his movements and turns towards the direction where the arrows were shot. Taking a step back in a shock, Mark turns his head to find the man beside him whom he ignored all along had an exquisite bow in his hand with his fingers on the string. Putting down the bow, the mysterious stranger opened his mouth in a calm tone. "Owner Lu, will you open the store? It's getting late for me." Mark was taken aback as he heard his words. After all, the weapons in his store are of high price. So, he never paid attention to this guy with a poor-looking appearance from the start. Now that he saw his skills in person, he felt like this guy might be a higher realm expert whom Alan might not compete against. So, Mark tried to be careful with his words. "You want to buy a weapon?" The customer nodded, "Yes. Those pistol weapons are indeed unique. I want to order bulk, at least in 100 amount and bullets like 100 per one pistol." Mark almost lost his footing in shock as he heard his words. "What did you say?" His eyes widened while trying to process the information. 10,000 bullets and 100 single-shot pistols. Even though he had 5 points of luck, Mark couldn't digest this matter for a few seconds as it was the first time he heard of such a ridiculous thing, even if it is some expert archer like this stranger. "I probably didn't hear it wrong." Letting out a comment, Mark stared at the archer and asked, "You just said that you wanted to buy 100 pistols and 10,000 bullets, right?" The mysterious archer plainly nodded in response. Calming himself down, he asked as politely as possible even though he was skeptical of the situation. "Do you perhaps know how much they cost?" The customer answered, 20 silver per bullet and 5 gold coins per pistol, right? Merchant Fu told me everything about it. The amount wasn't a problem. The only question is whether you can procure such a high amount or not. Mark went into a daze for a while. 2,500 gold coins transaction. That's enough to buy a top-tier gold-grade weapon and is even enough to rent a house for a whole year in the upper residential districts. It is hard for Mark to believe what he was hearing. "You are serious, right?" A miniature avatar of Mark inside his head started to dance in joy. "A big customer. Goddess of Luck is smiling on you, Mark." Just when he was on high clouds, his supposed rich customer dropped a bomb. "If you have the stock, I will buy it right away. However, I have only one condition. I need to meet the manufacturer." "Manufacturer?" Mark's facial expression suddenly changed upon finally realizing what the deal here is. Now, he understood why this man was intending to buy so many weapons. He wasn't here to buy the stuff from him. He was here to gain the information about the manufacturer, probably to buy in bulk at a cheaper rate, or hire him or whatever with other intentions. When such a thought appeared in his head, his eyes subsequently fell on the dead enemy on the ground. Oh boy, I forgot that this will bring more disaster. Alan isn't strong enough yet. I should unlock ether energy as soon as possible. Or maybe, I should meet Song Yu and explain her situation in person. Hello, what are you thinking about? The mysterious archer brought him back to reality and asked him again about the manufacturer. Since he never planned to reveal the truth, Mark shook his head and letting out a fake sigh. Not possible. I signed a confidentiality agreement. The manufacturer wants to stay hidden. I will lose my business and my life if I break the contract. Chapter 30.2, Mysterious Archer from Outside, Part 2. Confidentiality Agreement. At first, he thought this owner was trying to find an excuse, but after thinking deeply, he believed this store owner might be saying the truth after all. In reality, he had all the time to waste here. That's why he silently waited for half an hour outside of the store. The only thing he didn't expect is the sudden attack of a stranger. If he doesn't belong to the Song clan, perhaps, this man would have spared him, but alas, all the nobles and soldiers of the Phoenix Empire are his enemy. He couldn't let this chance slip away. Along with that, the archer hoped to put pressure on Mark while displaying his power so that his mission goes smoothly. However, who could have expected that Mark would reject his request even after seeing his power and got such a huge deal? Glancing at Alan, he further wondered whether this stoic-faced guy is keeping an eye on this small weapon store owner. His suspicions aren't without reason. In a lower district where an average person earns a little more than 4 gold coins per week, the mere existence of a 5-circle realm warrior or possible 6-circle realm warrior itself is abnormal. The archer felt the need to investigate the background of this manufacturer first before making a move. So, he decided to gain the trust rather than trying to put fear on him and risk the mission given by his master. Taking a deep breath, he then asked, "Okay, fine. How many can you sell, right now?" Mark answered, "I have around a little more than 20 pistols and a couple of 100 bullets. If you make an advance payment, I can get the remaining goods in 3 more days." "In 3 days, you can arrange all of them?" Mark didn't know that the man was extremely shocked at the moment. He felt like he did the right thing to not make a reckless move. After all, to manufacture so many weapons in perfection within such a short time, not everyone can do it. It needs a large workforce. Either he has the backing of a strong guild or had a deal with dwarfs. "Okay, I will pay 500 gold coins upfront, and the remaining will be paid when I will collect all the goods at one time, 3 days later. However, I expect the quality of the goods is as good as the ones you sold to Merchant Hua." "Merchant Hua?" Mark never forgot the face and name of the greedy merchant. "You mean, Hua Fen?" The mysterious archer nodded in response. "He was the one who informed me about your store." "I see." Mark thanked that merchant in his head for bringing him such a business. Glancing at the dead body again, something clicked in his head. "There's something I would like to show you. You might want to take a look at it." He asked him to come into the store and walked forward. Just as he opened the shutter, Mark remembered something and he immediately turned around to glance at Yifang in the middle of the street with blood oozing from the dead body. He then walked towards it. The spectators looked at him in silence. Their facial expressions also have a mixture of amazement and fear. Meanwhile, the passers-by are running away in fear, looking at the dead body. Someone decided to inform the prefects. Prefects are the law enforcement officers appointed by the Department of Law and Justice where the control was within the hands of Zhong clan. With Song Yu being the future daughter-in-law of Zhong Lei, the Minister of Law and Justice, Mark knew that it will cause him a lot of trouble even legally if Song clan gets angered. So, he wanted to take care of this matter properly if he wanted to stay within the city peacefully. Watching Mark walking towards Yifang's dead body, The mysterious archer frowned, wondering what he was going to do with it. Did he want to get the loot? Possible, considering the equipment on his body seemed of high quality. Mark first crouched nearby the dead body. The stench of blood didn't bother him a bit as he had witnessed thousands of deaths in his past life. Along with being an arms designer, he also served as an active soldier in a couple of wars. He then spoke in his head, "Open inventory." A holographic screen with inventory slots appeared before his eyes. As he touched the body, he spoke in his head, "System, absorb it into inventory." In fact, to store the items, he has to drag them to the inventory slot and it will automatically absorb, but Mark didn't have the strength to pick him with a single hand. Moreover, he doesn't want to lift his body with 2 hands and get his hands dirty with the blood. So, he asked for the help of the system. Since it is a matter that was linked with the inventory, a thing that was provided by the system, the latter didn't feel any violation of the rules like earlier when he asked for assistance in a battle, and then help him store the dead body. The onlookers were confused about these actions. It's not like Mark did the crime and is trying to hide the evidence in his storage ring. Even if this stranger was in cahoots with Mark, the spectators knew there were so many witnesses. At least one of them will testify in court sooner or later. So, they felt it was useless to do it. Ignoring the gazes of everyone, Mark further proceeded to pick up the gold-grade sword of Yi Fang from the ground and also store it before proceeding to walk towards his store. Since he would be gone soon, the mysterious archer didn't care about Mark's actions and followed him into the store where he saw pistols on the wall shelves. Like Lin Shui, he too was impressed at how clean the store is maintained. Soon, after reaching the counter, Mark pretended to take out a revolver from the bottom drawer where he actually took out one of the spares from his inventory. Here, this one is called a revolver. More advanced than the pistol. Right now, this one was reserved for a noble. If you are interested to buy this, I can order them more. Grabbing the revolver, he observed it carefully. A look of surprise appeared on his face as he gripped the handle. This one feels better than that one. It is also shorter and can be hidden in pockets. He then saw the cylinder with 6 holes in the chamber. What is this for? You can load 6 bullets at a time and shoot 6 rounds in a row before reloading, Mark replied, maintaining his usual bright smile. The customer then asked for the pistol and grabbed both of them in his hands. He complimented how the revolver feels more comfortable than the single-shot pistol. Taking it back, Mark told him about the price and its high range. The archer was surprised for a second upon hearing the price. It's not that he can't afford it, but it's just that 100 of them will cost 2,000 gold coins. Combined with the bullets, it will be 4,000 gold coins. Moreover, he needs to consider the long term too. After thinking for a while, he said, "Okay, order me 25 of these. If our comrades are comfortable with it, then I will order more." Comrades? Is it a guild? Or it for an army? Mark wandered in his thoughts.